The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Thursday, the 10th day of March, 2022. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, and Lindo's. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Sherry Vanderpool, and Leanna Lambert will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Well, it's Thursday, one day closer to Sherry's favorite day of the work week. Sherry, is that correct?
Yes, it's the shoulder dance.
Oh, shoulder dance? Oh, look like that. Oh, that's what it was called. The Harlem Shake, that thing they used to do?
Yeah. Dear Jamal, okay. Let me see you.
Look, I stay in my lane, folks. You know me, anything to do with music, the only thing I can do is listen to it. I can't sing it, I can't dance to it, but I'm good at listening to it. So I'm going to let you stick with that music. You can have it.
I want to see you do a two-step.
Oh, two-step. Nah, one foot would definitely be on top of the other. Don't worry about that. They don't pay you enough for that, Sherry. They don't pay you enough for that. But anyway, good morning, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. Another good one today as we welcome Jasmine Desilva, brilliant Jasmine Desilva, to the show to discuss her journey in international business and the importance of women in senior roles. And, you know, folks, I actually, last year we had an audience member question me because I didn't understand diversity, inclusion, and equity. And or is it diversity, equity, and inclusion? You know what I mean. But I took it upon myself to take up an offer to learn more and join part of the committee at my job. So hopefully, we get to learn a bit more about that from Jasmine and how it may be, inroads are being made in Bermuda in the corporate sector. The Daily Play is a name that plays. So Sherry's going on a trip today. We're doing some geography, and I have hope.
Well, are you going to give me part of an answer or whatever? I mean, I said Black Rose and name is wrong.
Well, I don't have hope for you. I was going to say I have hope for the audience when you get it wrong.
Whatever. And then your audience, you hear me all behind you. Nay, it's Rez and the cool walk.
Sherry took that personal, folks. He took that personal. But folks, we have a conversation to have this morning because obviously I think, we're 2 years on. Actually, today is the 10th of March. So it was this week, 2 years ago, when I was working for the Florida Panthers and BB&T Center when we were sent home because the pandemic hit the NHL. And, so it began with stoppages and working from home and hybrid schedules and so on.
And toilet paper from the shelves.
How could we forget the toilet paper rush, right? The toilet paper rush was serious. I mean, my goodness, that was entertainment in itself, right? But then, obviously, it was always going to come to an end. And this is, we did lose some people along the way, and we can't forget that.
Yeah.
But recently, Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, Twitter, basically tech companies have pretty much told their employees it's time to return to the office. According to Deadline.com, Friday, and I believe this was last week Friday, Apple CEO Tim Cook set a time frame for returning during the company's annual shareholder meeting starting April 11th, Apple employees will be required to work from the office at least 1 day a week. That ramps up to 3 days a week starting April 23rd, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's Google. Google's requiring people to return 3 days per week in the office as of April 4th. Twitter has the most liberal policy, according to Deadline.com. When its offices reopen on March 15th, workers can choose whether to remain remote, work a couple days in the office, or come in regularly as they did in times before. That said, it seems there's a split. There's a split amongst people as to, I've seen arguments that asking people to return to an office, even after they can do these jobs without being in an office over the last 2 years, is nothing but a form of control. You've got people who are saying that returning to the office is basically trying to keep the rich by paying their mortgages and so on. And then there's another part where, and Sherry shared something with me like this last night, is people who feel like, look, over the last 2 years, you should have been building your own company so that when this time came, you can go and do your own thing. So there's so many different perspectives on returning to the office. With that said, with tech, and I was shocked, I've asked some people in Bermuda, has their job have they returned to work full time? And they're like, oh, we've been back in the office every day, right? But I guess the question is, how do you feel about returning to the office full time, even though your company knows you can do the job at home or anywhere you want? Now, there's another part to this. Bermuda has been banking on digital nomads, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does this impact the government's plans as far as digital nomads? Does it impact it, or was it short-term thinking by the government? What are our thoughts on this? Returning to the office, how does it impact our economy overall? It's a lot to consider, folks. Go ahead, Sherry.
It is. I definitely think that if you're able to work from home, then you should. I think you should be given a choice to do so. There are some jobs that just can't be done from home, and I can respect that and I understand that. However, I think that asking people to sit in traffic for an hour or for a lengthy period of time, and we know that is going on right now in Bermuda with all the road work, is not good for the sanity and your mental health overall. Also, if some people love being in the office, and I think you should be given the option to do so. I don't think it's mandatory for you to have to go there. My job I can do from home. I can do it remote, but I have the option to go into the office as well. I just think I like TikTok's approach. If you want to come in the office, wherever creativity hits you, do it. If it's in the office, if it's at home, if it's at the bus stop. However, that TikTok, is a whole different entity within itself. But go ahead, Javel.
No. I hear you, and I get it. But someone wrote it in the comments while you were speaking, and I wanted to ask you, but with a joke, me and myself. But I'm just gonna read the comment. Sean Smith says, "Wow, people don't miss the human touch. Do you miss being, amongst like colleagues and the human touch, though, Sherry?"
I would say my job in Bermuda, yes. My job here in Atlanta, no. So it was a different type of relationship. And so I was we had very much a family kind of relationship in Bermuda. So I would miss that. I haven't gotten to know these folks just as well yet. So I'm okay with not being around them too much. However, I like the option to be able to come into the office as I see fit at this time, being in the position that I'm at. So
Indeed.
yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Sam Cat Place says, it's not control, shaking my head. A flex work schedule is what has come out of all of this. I don't mind 2 days home and 3 days in the office. There is nothing like in-person presence, but flexibility is good mentally. She says, goes on to say, not everything has to be a conspiracy, rolling my eyes. Sam Cat Place, I think, and I haven't seen a lot of the other opinions on this, but I'm with you 1,000%. I am with you. I have a hybrid schedule personally.
Mm-hmm.
I think my boss probably thinks I'm in the office too much, right? But for
Yeah.
me, I think my wife thinks I'm home too much, but that's another show. But I feel like for me, knowing how I am, my personality, the human touch
Mm-hmm.
is important to a certain respect, right?
Yeah.
However, I don't think it's always about control, and I do agree with it. It's not always conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes for me, I want to know that if I'm and I'll give you this example. Our colleague on this show, Philip Trott, he had put a post on Twitter, and if Phil, you tuned in, correct me if I'm wrong, but he put a post on Twitter, I want to say about a few weeks ago, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he asked the question. He asked, how many of you working from home, how many of your jobs have paid for your electricity, your internet, your like
Mm-hmm.
just going down the number of bills, right? Now, for me, I'm like, no, they're not paying anything. I'm going to the office to use their internet. I'm going to the office to use their electricity. I'm
Right.
going to the office to use their printing and copying and whatnot. Why am I going to do this from home knowing that they're not paying for it? So those are things that we don't even think about. The
Yeah.
second thing for me is knowing that I'm working for someone else. I never put it in my head unless I signed up to be remote from the jump, from the beginning. I don't put it in my head that this is going to be something that we're going to be doing forever. I don't
Mm-hmm.
make myself believe that. I always say, you know what? Yes, I can do the job from home. Yes, I have all the tools to do it from wherever I want to do. But if they require me in the office, I'm going to set myself up for that. Now, Sherry, you touched on something, and we might have spoken about this recently, but when I was working at my previous job and we were working from home for that 3 months, I'm a person, apparently my blood pressure goes high a lot. So I monitor my blood pressure. And I said to my mother-in-law one day, I said, my blood pressure's normal. Like, what's going on? I haven't changed anything. The only difference was I was running outside versus the treadmill. And she
Mm-hmm.
said to me, it's because you're not in traffic every day. She said, you
Mm-hmm.
would be surprised how much your daily commute adds stress to your workday. And
Yeah.
so I take your point with that. I do take your point. But I
I
feel like this is a perfect example about balance.
mm-hmm.
Balance. Go ahead.
No, and I would say, and let's add, if you're a single parent or you're a parent, the the balance that comes with you being able to be home and being able to get some things done in between your work schedule that you normally will wait till you do when you come home, or use your weekend that's supposed
Mhm,
to be relaxing to prepare for the week.
mhm,
I in between meetings, I'm not gonna lie, I put a load of laundry in, or be able to do all of that during my lunch break. Sometimes I'm filling up because when it comes to the weekend, I don't have all of that
yeah.
piled up waiting to, it's easy to go in the garage and exercise. Jasmine, no, I haven't done it. Jasmine knows what I'm talking about. I haven't done it, but I need to. But
Uh,
you have options when you're home. You can go outside and go for a walk and have a mental health break or whatnot. But then you're not racing to go get in the shower, to put on your clothes, to
yes.
get back to,
Yes.
Jamal does it all the
But
time. You could just put on a shirt and sit in front of a camera and nobody would know
right.
that you haven't had a bath.
But yeah, yeah. True story. True story. You can't smell me. But Sherry, good point. And I think but one thing we have to remember in all that we're saying, everything that we're saying, and when we bring Jasmine to the conversation, it'll probably come up. Companies, organizations, corporations, private, public, regardless of where they are, the majority of them, the priority
Yeah.
is revenue, not people.
Hmm.
That's just the reality. Now, I'm not
But
saying
if
all companies are like that, but
but
their
if you pour into
priority,
your people,
I agree. I agree that it should be people first, but a lot of companies, it's that bottom line. So for them, they want people to do what they want them to do, right? Because they believe this is the way to do it. Now, even though people may say, but we've proven over the last 2 years that we can be more productive if you eliminate the commute. Let's go to the comments. We do have some. Tanya Cheeseman for you.
If required to work full time from the office, I don't mind, and the ability to have adult converse without having to pick up a phone is appreciated. Yeah,
Yeah, she goes on to
like
say,
I
however, after my job is flex, we can stay home and work 2 to 3 in office. They see the productivity and don't have an issue. Michelle White says, yes, flexibility will be key. We had learned the value of homework balance, and that's the key for me. It's all about balance. I think this
hmm
is a perfect example for us to understand balance. Workers have never had the opportunity to feel the freedom of being able to get work done, sometimes in comfort. Sherry, I go back to your comment just now where you stated that um, you know, if you you focus and make your employees the priority, then your actual priority of revenue will probably see greater results. That can't be understated. It can't be emphasized enough. And I think that there are companies that get this right. There are
hmm
many companies that get this right. I think the concern is that not enough companies get it right. Shami
and
Richardson says, I prefer working from home, no distractions, completely focused. Go ahead, Shay.
And I'm laughing at Shameen because she's a social worker, and the environment that we used to work with could be loud, but it was fun. But I also feel like you can get more out of me at home, and
Mhm.
minus kids in that sense, because I find myself sometimes like, oh, it's like 6 o'clock. Oh, I've done everything.
Mhm.
Let me come back and do a little bit more work. Because I have some time and I have a feeling inspiration to do so. So I feel like you can get more out of some. Now, don't
Mhm.
get it wrong. Some have messed this up for others
Mhm.
because their
Mhm.
productivity hasn't been what it needs to be. However, I don't feel like that pool is as good as big as the one that has produced productivity, especially I think with parents. I feel like people who have kids have really been able to do more because they're not focused on having to do so many other things.
Yeah. Well, you bring up another good point, because what I've loved and appreciate about the pandemic a bit is, parents have had some, obviously they have work to do, but they've been
Yes.
able to be with their children much more. One of the things about, having a job, especially in corporate, is you tend to spend more time away from your family,
Yeah.
right? Um, and I've always had an issue with that. Like, who created
hmm
9 to 5, whereas we're spending so much time working for people than with our families? But that's another show as well. But I think the part about it is parents have had that opportunity to see things, like see how their children
hmm
learn, how their children engage in the classroom. There's been some positive, and then there's the negative aspect where parents have had to be both the teacher and the parent in some respects, and haven't had the
Yeah.
opportunity to dedicate to their jobs. This is quite funny. Sean Smith says, my wife has worked throughout the entire pandemic at her job because the nature of her job. All I'm here at home is the dog to talk to. So he's just got his dog to talk to. We send our, we feel for you, Sean. We feel for you. Just,
Ah,
I wonder if the dog responds in human. But I want to touch on the second part of the question I asked. Are you concerned for the digital nomad as it relates to Bermuda? Folks, are you concerned? Because I think, Bermuda only has about 1,600 rooms for hotels right now, right? And that's a concern. Are we concerned that the digital nomad now at being asked to return home, like they're not going to be in Bermuda for 3 days and fly to work in their office
right.
for 2 days? Does this concern you? Think about that. Go ahead,
Mm,
Sherry.
not so much, to be honest, Jamal, because when you look at the digital nomads, there have been so many for so long, and in different areas. We have a big technological, you know, area that still can be utilized. But in addition to, I just think it's we provided the availability for them to move out of their apartment that they were in California. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that it should hurt us that much,
Mhm.
because I believe that there's still lots of jobs out there that are still like remote, still fine with us.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough, and it's an argument. Well, let's bring Leanna into the conversation because I definitely want to continue this conversation as we bring Jasmine on. I'm sure she has something to say, being in the corporate sector, on this. See what Lee has to say because I'm sure. Hold up, let's do a poll first. You think Leanna's going to avoid this topic?
Nah, nah.
Okay,
Mm-mm.
all right. He likes putting on the spot. Good morning, Lee. You heard
Good
Sherry.
morning. Definitely not. I want some of this morning.
Yes, my girl.
Give it to us, Lee. Give it to us.
I think this is great though because I respect those employers that are still allowing their employees to work from home, and I know a lot of Bermudian companies or exempt companies or
Mm,
even the banks even they're doing like 3 days in 2 days home, and I
mm,
have heard from so many people how their productivity at
mm,
home is way better than in the office,
mm,
because it's just a lot of what we call idle time
Mm,
where you're chatting with your colleagues and
mm,
etc. And there's as much as we love being in person, I love that balance of being able
mm.
to have an option, right?
Yeah.
So that's not
yeah.
me though. That's not
I,
me.
no, I appreciate that, Lee, because I'm with Sam Cat Place's comment. I think hybrid is the way to go for me. Again, every job is different. Either and Sherry, you
Yes.
said this in your comment. Some jobs require you to be in person. Some
Yeah.
it could be a nurse, it could be a teller. Any customer facing job requires that. So I completely get it. It's an interesting time. Lee, you
Yeah,
ready
and
for the
I
news?
feel for those who can't work from home, right?
Right.
Whereas, our jobs we can, and that's a blessing within itself. But,
Yeah.
even with my company, there's so many people that still can't work from home because we have retail shops, we've got delivery service. So, unfortunate, but I love the aspect that we were able to be at home for quite some time. I'm not gonna knock that at
Yeah.
all.
Well, here's a positive. We do this show daily, and we can do it from home. We can do it from a hotel. We can do it from. I mean, I want to call shots. But anyway, over to you, Lee.
That's great. Thanks, Jamal and Sherry. And again, good morning to all of those who are tuned in with us today. I hope you all are having a great start to another bright and beautiful day. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for the Daily Hour News Break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. While police have confirmed the sad news that a body was found in the East End yesterday and confirmed it was the van of former politician Darius Tucker. Police divers discovered a body in Mr. Tucker's company van, which was submerged in the water off Marginal Wharf. Mr. Tucker had been missing since Sunday evening. Assistant Commissioner Antoine Daniels said that they had received a 911 call around 8:40 a.m. of a potential sighting of the van. Marine police units were called and unfortunately and tragically located the white van that he said had been looking for with the individual inside. Now, Mr. Daniels added that the family members had been informed of the discovery. He said that there was no indication of foul play at this time. However, he added it is early in the investigation and forensic examinations were completed before they extracted the body and the van from the water. Now, on Monday, police launched an appeal for the public to help locate 56-year-old Mr. Tucker after he was last seen leaving St. George's in his white van on Sunday evening. In other news, all eyes will be in the courts and Privy Council as they are set to rule on legislation intended to halt same-sex marriages, which is to be delivered on Monday morning, more than a year after the case was heard. Now, the decision on the case between the Attorney General of Bermuda and Rod Ferguson and others will be read out at 7 a.m. local time on the Privy Council website. Now, the case began back in 2018 when Mr. Ferguson launched a civil case against the Attorney General over the Domestic Partnership Act, which included a clause intended to prevent future same-sex marriages. The government lost the Ferguson out Bermuda case in June 2018 when the Chief Justice ruled that the section which banned same-sex marriage breached the Bermudian Constitution. Now, the government appealed, and the case went to the Court of Appeal in November 2018. And we're sure you've seen the memes fluttering about social media channels. And although it might have given a good laugh, energy providers have warned that gas and oil prices are set to increase because of the war in the Ukraine. Now, Wayne Keynes, president of Belco, said that the company's fuel adjustment rate, or FAR, will increase by the start of next month. He added that the increase could be reflected in power bills, although FAR hikes could be balanced out by Belco's efforts to help customers save money. Now, he was speaking as oil prices around the world have increased due to the conflict between Russia and the Ukraine. Mr. Keynes said that the fuel adjustment rate, which is provided by the Bermuda Regulatory Authority, reflects the total cost to deliver fuel to Belco's central plant. It combines the cost of fuel with the cost of taxes from the Bermuda government. Now, Mr. Keynes said that the price hikes were necessary to keep Belco afloat when compared to larger utility companies. Taking a look at today's weather, we have a high near 74 and a low near 68 degrees. We can continue to see the warmish weather, and we'll see more sun than clouds today as dry weather remains settled. High pressure continues to create mild southwesterly winds and settled conditions until a weak front brings cloudy skies and a few passing showers on Friday. Now, Saturday sees brief improvement. However, it becomes quite windy and unsettled in advance of a cold front expected to cross over us early Sunday morning. That's all for the Daily Hour News Break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Now let's head back to Jamal and Sherry in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
Thank you so much for that, Lee. And once again, condolences for the loss of the former MP. That's very disheartening news, and I think most of the community, if not everyone, was hoping for better news than that. Sherry, you've got days of the year for us, correct?
I do. It's perfect for if you're working from home, or, it's National Pack Your Lunch Day. Yay, pack your lunch, Jamal and Lee. And, the perfect thing about Pack Your Lunch Day, you can do it. You can be the person that puts all your favorite things in addition to, if you're being health conscious, it's another good way of being able to stay on top of that. In addition to, is National Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day, and it was observed every day this year. It's a day to set aside to empower people globally with knowledge and information regarding HIV and AIDS, particularly with the emphasis on women and girls.
Okay, so for the first one,
pack your lunch.
Pack your lunch.
Yeah, Jamal and
Pack
I
your
like,
lunch.
let's go back.
Remember, yesterday was Get Over It.
No, but no. So you're telling me I can't do a dash today?
No, sir.
No, that's not pack your lunch. Did you cook last night, Jamal? Did we fry some fish again?
No, that was the night before.
Well, if you have leftovers.
It was International Women's Day, folks. That's why I cooked. I mean, she had the day off. What's wrong with you? Eh? Let me stop.
She should have more than.
Oh my goodness!
I'm not doing this with Liana. Have a good day, I'm not getting me in trouble. We have Jasmine. I'm saying Jasmine Desilva coming up, folks. It was Lee. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you guys tomorrow.
Bye.
You're all trying to get me in trouble. It ain't happening. Stick with us.
Do it to yourself.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Hi, I'm Karen, a nurse at the old folks home. These long hours used to kill my feet until my hairdresser told me about a great place to buy a pair of clogs. Medical House. Finally, relief. They also carry uniforms in bright, bold colors. And not to mention the support stockings.
Karen, Miss Soltis bet her bet again.
Oh gosh, these days, I need all the support I can get.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke.
Most of us acknowledge that there's something special about organic food. To be sure, organically grown foods are cleaner and devoid of toxic pesticides, genetic modification, antibiotics, and growth hormones. And reports that the flavors of these foods are accordingly bolder and more authentic surely resonate with lovers of good eats. Field Day is a producer of organics who deliver on these promises and ingeniously add affordability to the mix. Good news for us thrifty consumers. We're featuring Field Day Organic Grade A Maple Syrup. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
All righty, welcome back to the big show. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House on Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the day. We have Jasmine Desilva. Let's bring her in, Sherry. Let's give it look. Air horn or a bomb? What you want? Good morning, Jasmine. How are you?
Air horn. She likes a little air horn. She's been backstage chomping at the bit.
Literally. First off, welcome to the show. Let's hold off on the conversation for a bit. Let's talk about what the conversation was prior. We were talking about the digital nomad. We were talking about work from home. What are your thoughts on all of that? And take your time.
I was just like, please tap me in. So which one should we tackle first? I'm gonna tackle work from home.
Okay.
So I disagree with both of you. And it's probably because of the industry I work in, international business. I do like the flexibility of working from home. Let's be clear on that. But I'm an extrovert and I want to be where the people are. I think creating culture, when we talk about working from home and productivity, we're talking as though we're machines, right? And that we're just meant to execute. And yes, that results in profitability and that results in great success for your company. But in my view, Jamal, and in my experience on a senior leadership team, our people are our currency. Mm-hmm. Without happy people, we won't have the profitability and the revenues that we need. And so you put into place, you take a temperature check, you put into place, hopefully, some sort of understandings and regulations that take into consideration hybrid and flexibility and working from home, but you want to build a culture. Overwhelmingly, you stay at jobs with people that you like, and you spend so many hours with them. So creating a culture is vital, and you can only do that when you work in an office or when you're working together. And on top of that, working in international business and as my history as an underwriter, so much of what I learned was learned by listening to the conversation that was happening in the office in front of me, by listening to the conversation that was happening beside me, by me standing up and saying, so this is what's happening on this deal. I need you to give me some feedback. Right now, I have to go into my teams and say, can I have 5 minutes of your time? I'm not about that life. I really do enjoy like the flexibility and you two glamorizing working from home with children, spending more time.
No. But let's go back. Everything you explained, it really fits into what I was explaining of a two Bermudas in terms of international business, and then almost like, as Craig Simmons said, a blue collar. Why? Because I think that it's a different reality, Jasmine, what you just explained. What you explained is not normal for a lot of blue collar workers. They don't, at the end of the day, a lot of them go to work, and I'm going to include myself in that. What I hear from people who work in the international business sector is almost like not normal. When you speak of culture, a lot of people that, I converse with, they're in spaces where they're in profit driven, where the revenue is number one. When Sherry said that, as you just said, focusing on the people, they're your greatest currency. There are smaller companies that don't think like that. They have the attitude that you should
be. That's to their detriment, though, because that's not just a reality to a larger company. That is across the board. That is data, facts, research. That's research driven, right? So creating a culture, and that's culture across the board. Creating a culture in your family. You stay where you enjoy. You invest where you enjoy. You do your best for those that you where there's a culture that you feel appreciated and you feel
Mhm.
that you're compensated and that you feel like you're heard and that you're valuable, right?
Yeah.
And so the other part that you guys are missing about working from
Mhm.
home is the wider impact on our economy in town, in the city of Hamilton, right?
Mhm.
So we're not going to restaurants. We're not
Mhm.
we're not having the occasional, when I'm running from meeting to meeting and I see a dress that I like in the window, and I don't actually love to shop, but Maud Blue can have all of my money. And so, you're missing those things that are really affecting the wider economy.
Mhm.
Coffee shops and the ability, construction to be set up because there is a need for more space. So
Indeed.
this has a ripple effect. Everyone's staying home for such a small economy like Bermuda. It's not good.
But then
And so
where's that balance though, Jasmine? Because
Yes.
then you have that other side where they're saying, well, and someone said put in the comments, I don't think we got to share it, is staying at home because they don't have that luxury of making certain levels of money. Staying at home has saved them money. So for them, they don't see the greater picture of what the economy. And I think that's what Joe Biden, who you all know, I don't favor politicians on either side in the U.S., but Joe Biden, recently president of the U.S., was trying to get back to work to get their cities going again. And people were
Right.
like, he's more concerned about getting his buddies and their real estate and companies going, not understanding what you just explained, that no, it probably is a ripple effect that's going to help you.
It all helps you. Like you can think of yourself as a silo. You can look. I have saved so much money staying home, and I pack my lunch. I was a
Good
pack
job.
luncher before packing lunch. And that Sherry knows that has to do with being healthy, but it
Yes.
also has to do with being cheap. Like I don't want to spend more money. I've enjoyed saving money on gas. But that's me thinking of myself
Yeah.
in a silo. That's me thinking, I work in international business. If people in international business only thought about themselves, we have a greater impact on the wider economy. And so the several reasons we've listed off: culture, the ability to build those friendships within your working environment, the ability to learn and grow and excel beyond you talking to the wall on the side of you, right? And then the ripple effect that it has in the wider community. I think flexible work environment is key. You guys talked about your commute. As a mom, my commute sometimes is my saving grace.
I've heard that. I've seen a post where people's like, sometimes I just want to get in the car, play music, and drive for a while. So I do get that differently, but can we not do it during traffic?
Just like set the tone.
But see, it's interesting because one of the strangest thing about my commute is it's silent. And what I mean is I don't listen to the radio a lot of times. I just, to me, that's my time to myself to self-reflect on my day. In terms of being in the office, I made a joke earlier about, I think my job thinks I'm in there too much. I've only been there for 6 months. So for me, being in there is really trying to get to know people. Why? And Jasmine, this is to your point. We've been wearing masks. There are still people. We only have about 40 people in our company. I don't know and can identify because people had masks on. So what I actually said that, like, I'm really trying to get the hang and know people. And it's tough because of the hybrid schedule. But it's so much to it. I think, and again, we try to share as many comments as possible on this show, but I am fine with my hybrid schedule. But I believe that everything you're saying it's valid because the culture is everything for me at a company. Like I've always said priority when I go in. Like my CEO actually said at our Christmas holiday dinner party we had, he said, we've interviewed for so many positions coming out of the pandemic. And the number one question he was getting is, what's the company culture like?
Yeah. If you think about, what's important to Gen Z, Gen Z is just like, what is your culture like? What is your social impact like? When we talk about talent and the lack of talent, you creating a greater culture within your work environment is a diversifier. It's you being able to hold on to that talent. It's it's just a wider impact. I think people think about
Yeah.
things very much from their point of view, but they don't think of it of how it impacts the company and your profitability. All of this creates greater profitability.
Yeah.
So and just to touch on your digital nomad, and I only have a small opinion against with that. I think a lot of the digital nomads always worked from home. They always worked remotely. Tech space is very much a space where you don't work in an office environment, and so I don't think it actually has that much impact on. That's not what's going to impact digital nomad, is working from home versus going back to the office.
Why are you taking away an excuse from our government? Come on, I was helping them. No.
We're gonna stay off that.
I'm gonna leave it alone. But look, let's get into the conversation.
Hi,
You currently work in the international business sector as a senior vice president. Just explain to the audience what exactly it is that you do, because people hear international business, they hear reinsurance, they hear fintech, crypto, like they hear so many different things. Speak about what you do.
So myself specifically, I work at Horseshoe. I'm senior vice president. I head up business development and strategic initiatives. And so Horseshoe is a service provider for insurance securities. And basically, I partner with division heads to produce more business, bring in greater sales. But really also I'm relationship management. So I focus on our existing clients and making sure that they're happy. And then I partner with the CEO on strategic initiatives that are going to help propel the company forward. And that has to do with several things: data, technology, our people, but also what does it mean to be a partner for our existing clients and new clients. So I have a wide role and I quite love it. And so, yeah.
A lot of responsibility there, it sounds like. What have you enjoyed most about your career in international business, though?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I enjoy my current role completely. If we think generally, I've enjoyed the people that I've met, the relationships that I've built, both with clients and with peers. As I said, I'm an extrovert. I love people. Yes. I love community. I love create. I get all of my energy from people. And so IB has just opened my eyes. It's taught me so much. It's made me a businesswoman. It's made me internationally competitive. And there are several reasons how I've been able to do that. But those are the facts. The facts are that I've been able to see the world because of IB. I've been able to, we know what IB does for our economy and the salaries that it creates. And so I've been able to give my family opportunity because I'm a part of international business. And that's a big focus as to why we need more Bermudians. We need to spread this wealth and create wealth for our generations to come. IB is really critical to this island, where collectively IB is the greatest employer on island, surpassed government. ABER, which is the Association for Bermuda Insurance and Reinsurers. So they specifically for insurance and reinsurers. So when you think IB, you think international business as a whole. That includes law firms, accounting firms. But ABER specifically, when you think about insurance and reinsurance, they just released a survey at the beginning of this year that insurance and reinsurance companies, or ABER companies, have contributed over $8.5 billion to Bermuda, to our economy. Over the last 10 years. And that is through salaries and wages, but that's also through business travel. Hamilton Princess very much benefits from international business. And COVID definitely impacted that. That's from retail and construction. So IB as a whole is such a positive impact on the island. There are things that we can talk about, that challenges and that need to be overcome. But overall, I've had a journey in IB, one that has informed me tremendously, but I wouldn't change it for the world. And I'm where I am currently. I'm delighted and really happy, and I love the people I work with. So I'm pretty passionate about it.
I just wish that there was as much interest in the IB sector, as far as opinions at least, as there is tourism. It's almost like, I actually said to someone this morning about 5 a.m. Apparently I wake up very early. I said, as I go through Florida, the amount of investment coming in from a business perspective, companies relocating from New York City, but also tourists. And I just, it's weird to me how Floridians, if I went out and have conversations, they don't know what tourism is. They don't understand certain business sectors. But in Bermuda, everyone knows what the solution to tourism is, but has no clue what IB truly does. And so it's interesting that IB is the greatest contributor to what they enjoy, but they really don't, for the most part. And I'm speaking about people just generally that share opinions a lot, right? I'm speaking again, people who share opinions a lot, and that's not
okay. So I you're being
opinions.
kind of
So,
vague there, but
yeah.
And probably for a reason.
Very direct. Yeah, I'm speaking specifically, but you know what? Let's roll on. As a woman,
Yes.
you mentioned challenges, right? As a woman, a Black woman in particular, what are some challenges you've encountered during your time in IB?
I think I've encountered the challenges that any Black woman encounters in the industry or as a whole in corporate space. You know, feeling othered at times, feeling that I had to, the bias that kind of comes with being a Black woman. I am as ambitious and as driven as they come.
Yes.
And that comes with a bias. You know, if I was a male, I'd be seen as a rock star. But historically, I don't think I've always been seen that way. My ambition has been misunderstood in some cases as too aggressive, or I've gotten all of that. I've been told, you know, if you could just tone down your passion, which we all know won't happen. And so the passion that I have, that's my zone of genius. That's my ability to bring myself authentically to every space, and then to give 500%. That's me. And because of that, I'm gonna make you a lot of money. Yeah. And so, you know, I've definitely I've definitely had some challenges. And because of that, I can teach the next generation and really inform them about navigating the space. Because I was raised in a household with educated parents, but we didn't really speak about IB. And that's one of the harder issues, or the issues with Black Bermudians especially. We're not really taught about this space, right? And how to navigate it. For many of us, we're the first generations to be in the space and also be leaders in the space. And so we didn't have anybody in our ear saying, this is what you need to do. This is how you navigate it. This is, you know, our parents gave us these great educations. They sacrificed for us. They said, put your head down, go to work, and work hard.
I think you just explained in the best way possible what I was trying to say. We talk about tourism in our households because many of our parents worked in those spaces previously.
Right.
We don't speak about IB, so therefore we're more opinionated about tourism because we believe we have more knowledge versus IB, where first generation is pretty much many of our.
And that's going to change. That's going to change. That's going to, you know, the future of IB looks very much diversified. The future of IB, and there are people that are committed to it. There are people that are committed to changing the landscape, and that people that look like me, but also people that don't look like me, right? that are you know, allies in the space. And some of my greatest allies in IB are white women and white men.
Interesting.
Who have brought me along. Sorry, go ahead, Sherry.
That's okay. What more can the corporation do better to ensure qualified women are getting the opportunities that their male counterparts are receiving? I'm sure you have a lot to say about that.
I mean, there's a two-part approach, right? There's the individuals and then there's the corporations. So corporations need to put into place environments where that's conducive. They need to put into place opportunities and pinpoint. But if there are not females in leadership positions, you have less of a chance that policies and procedures and initiatives will be put into place to kind of increase females and Black females within leadership positions, right? So it starts with creating the environment for success, right? You have to feel like you can be and do and rise and and get through those greater ranks, and take some males that are intentional about it and recognize their blind spots, and then it takes a few females that are in those leadership positions to do the same. But it's definitely, it starts from an environmental standpoint. I think corporations are trying. You know, I'm a part of the Association for Corporate Racial Equity, and I'm not too sure if any of you both know about the association, but it was started by a few Black insurance professionals, and we're now at the place, and there's now enough of us that we can have our own association, and we're committed to partnering with IB to create diversification and Black excellence, and advocating on behalf of Black Bermudians. And honestly, there's some great intentioned people in the industry. They get it. Like, we're done complaining. We're done saying, we're not done, but it's not going to get us anywhere, right? It's going to get us nowhere. So the statement now is, we get it. We have blind spots. Right. Statistically, we do not represent the country that we are in. We Blacks overwhelmingly occupy junior positions. And as we rise through the ranks, that's not representative, right? Yeah. The statistics speak for themselves. But there are senior leaders or executives that are like, we get it. We suck. What do we do?
Man, you just spoke about your own association, which is pretty cool. However, are many companies adding diversity, inclusion, equity experts to their organizations? And how can we believe this shift can be the norm for corporate culture?
I don't think it's a matter of if it can be. It has to be. Okay. It has to be. This isn't optional at this point. Especially, 2020, George Floyd, eyes are open, gazes are off. Companies are aware, they're very aware, and not many of them have paid diversity and inclusion representatives in their organizations, but they have committees, they have strategies, they're trying, they're putting together, they reach out to ACRE on a regular basis. We're all starting somewhere, and it's taking a lot of conversations, and we need to attack this urgently, but we also need to have grace and understand that it's going to be incremental. But we also need to start here too. There's a lot of stuff we need to do as a community. We need to educate our families, and there's a lot of things we can do as individuals as well. So corporations have a long way to go. I'm not going to sit here and say that everything's perfect, right? The statistics speak for themselves. Right. The representation speaks for itself. I'm only here to say that the future is, in my opinion, will be much greater than it has been historically. And that's because of associations such as ACRE. Because of people just like me who are just determined, not just for my kid, for my daughter to have a greater future, but for my country. I love Bermuda. I am committed to this island, and thus I'm committed to my people being successful within this industry that has given me so much opportunity.
Well, I'm just hoping for consistency in those spaces. A lot of times we tend to rev it up and ramp it up when these major situations occur, and then it often dies off. So I just hope that the consistency is the marathon, and that we don't sprint, burn out, and then we're back to another tragic situation. And also, don't forget, you guys, put your comments in the chat. We want to hear from you. I'm sure you got questions for Ms. Jasmine. But just before we finish, what advice would you give to young women considering a career in the IB sector?
I think it's advice I probably give for anyone considering a career, period. Be very intentional about your career. Understand that don't give away your power. Like, your career is within your reach, and it's all something that you can you can own on your own terms. It will require you to network. It will require you to get out there and know people. I always say that unfortunately it bears on the side of the extrovert that is much more friendlier to get out there and understand and know people. But you don't get ahead just by putting your head down and working hard. That is coupled with who you know. It's coupled with how you've shown your value, how you can communicate your value. Get very clear on what your zone of genius is. Get very clear on what you're good at. I am very clear on what I'm good at, and I'm very clear on what I'm not good at. And because I'm clear on what I'm good at, I communicate that. I don't go into situations with executives or with people that I want to get to know, trying to say to them what they could do for me. I lead with what I could do for you, right? And so for women looking to get ahead, what are you good at? Be very clear on what you're good at. Start making some friends in the industry. Reach out. People want to hear from you. And let's attack it strategically. Your career is your job, and ask for what you want.
It's interesting you say that. I think, you said, I'm going to do the action. Some of it is with us. And I can't help but think is knowing what you're good at rather than what you want to do is important too.
It's vital.
It's vital.
It's I mean, I speak to so many young people and I'm like, what are you good at? And they're like, well, I really want to be a broker. Do you like people? You don't like people, you can't be a broker. What are you good at? What and then look, it takes trial and error, takes making some mistakes. I am pretty risky. I will jump off a cliff, but I'll jump off a cliff because I know I can get back up. I know I have the education behind it. I know I'm constantly going to try, and I know what I'm good at. So if you don't know what you're good at, if you don't know, that I'm analytical and I like to look at efficiencies and I like to create things and I like to look at data, or I'm a people person and I like to create communities and I like to make connections and I'm a strategic thinker. That's you. How are you going to know what you want to do in the IB sector, and how can you communicate that to anyone?
Indeed. This is great. We have a lot of questions. Obviously, we're out of time, but we're going to try to get through. You've answered some of the stuff in there, but I'll put this comment up. Rashida Godwin, she says, IB is a great start, but I would suggest not staying there long and work towards starting your own business. Set yourself up. How do you feel about a comment like that?
I feel like everyone is entitled to their own opinions, and everyone has their own future that they're heading towards. I think that IB is going to has done and will do great things for me and my family. It's not a matter of if I'll be successful or continue to succeed. It's a matter of when and where I go. So I just think everyone, look, we need entrepreneurs. We need diversification. We can't just be all in IB. So yeah, start your business. Take those skills that you learned, those business acumen, and start your own business, please. And then I'm going to spend money at your business.
Alrighty.
Love it.
Let's go to real quickly. I want to say you answered this, but Sam Capley says, Jasmine, how do you feel about those telling you to turn down your passion? Some equate passion to aggressiveness, but go ahead, take it away.
I mean, I'm at the point in my life where I know what I bring to the table. Like passion is what makes me great. And so I've been told many a times to turn down my passion. But I'm in a leadership position at an organization that loves me and loves what I bring to the table. And I work my butt off for that organization, and I will continue to do so. That passion translates into dollars. So,
yeah, it's interesting you say that, because the other day, I speak to a couple of CEOs a lot, and I put a tweet, and it wasn't favored by some, but I basically the tweet was pretty much, I cannot work with people who don't at least put up the same amount of effort or work as hard as me. And like what's her name? Perry Furbert came on. She has her brand.
Yeah.
Gold label. The label.
The gold label.
And she said something. I'm sorry, I don't buy women's stuff. But she said something powerful, and I don't want to quote direct, but basically, those who don't put in the work don't eat, right? Look, I'm in sales. Like I'm knocking on doors. I'm doing what's necessary. You got to connect and so on. How do we change the attitude that that work needs to be done. Because right now, Jasmine, let's be honest, we're in a place where people just look at going to work and working for corporations, especially led by rich white people, as oh, we're doing is going to make them rich while they're on their yacht. There's a lot of people out there who believe this. Like, what do we do to change that mindset?
I don't actually. That's not my experience. I think you're always going to have naysayers. You're always going to have people that aren't as aggressive or ambitious or driven, and they just want to go to work for 9 to 5, and that's okay. We need those people as well. My experience in the industry has been both Bermudians and non-Bermudians working their butts off, being very aggressive, being very concerned about the domicile, being very concerned about the jurisdiction, being very focused on Bermuda success. That's my alarm saying, call the doctor for Mila. So it's my experience that I'm around people that are ready and willing, and it drives me, and they're committed to not just their organization, like they're committed to Bermuda. You talk to a lot of these CEOs, they're committed to the domicile. Some aren't, but their commitment to your domicile is commitment to your success as a Bermudian.
All right, one last question before you go. We're out of time. But Michelle White's asking, well, when will Bermudians start their own insurance reinsurance company? What will it take?
It will take capital. It'll take us getting into leadership positions and then taking those risks. We don't technically usually start companies because we don't really have the capital to do it. We're catching up, right? When it comes to capital, you need money to start a company. I don't think we're far from it. But it's capital. It's understanding what it takes to start a company, and it's understanding and getting to the position that you have enough clout and value. But trust me, it's capital. We haven't started the companies because we don't have the capital.
I just want to say this to you. There are so many people that we know working in this space, and I would love to just continue these conversations, because from what the spaces that I put myself in, these conversations are not head enough with the people who need to hear them. And so I appreciate everything from your opinion on the digital nomad to working from home. Honestly, I'm different. I want to go in because I want to know my colleagues. They probably don't want to know me, but the culture is
the same thing.
Who doesn't want to get to know you, Jasmine? Your energy,
I'm always just like, they're like, here comes Jasmine and her smile and her chipper.
I had colleagues like Jasmine. I'm like, what's she so happy about today? But no, seriously, like, and people, I got in there. I'm like talking about what? Hey, did you see the game last? No, I don't watch sports, Jamal. Like, whatever. But I get you. I get you, and I appreciate you trusting this platform to have this conversation. We have to do it again sometime.
I'm open to it. Look, IB has been very good to me. It's been very good to my family. I have had my challenges, and we can have that conversation. But I really do feel like the future for Bermudians, these Gen Zers are not playing. They are intentionally coming into the industry. They are taking the junior positions, and they're committed to being leaders in the organization. And I love that. So,
and we should embrace it. Jasmine Desilva, thank you so much for this. And call that doctor now. Don't get
I know.
Have a great one. We'll be in touch.
Bye.
All right. Jasmine Desilva, folks, if you appreciated that conversation, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Thank you. She set us straight, boy. She set us straight. She came on. She said, no, that's not. No, I love it. I appreciate it. And we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and wrap it up. Do not go anywhere.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security, there's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
All right. Thanks again to One Communications, People's Pharmacy, Medical Office, and Linda's for ensuring we're able to do this with you. Thanks again to Jasmine Desilva for that conversation. I love a confident Black woman, like really, like she's always smiling too. Like working in that space, always smiling, always happy. But make sure you give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. And I love this because I'm learning. I am learning. You know, I have very few friends in the international business sector, and I do feel like, as Mr. Craig Simmons said, it almost does come across like two different worlds, right? Mm-hmm. We need to bridge that. Bermuda's too small for there to be such a divide as far as IB and everyone else. Sherry, final thoughts on today's show?
Definitely. I think working from home is and going back to work is still a work-life balance. And if you can find the balance that best suits you and the company is in agreement with that, then by all means, follow through with that. Jasmine, what can I say? She is a passion, a light, energy, and I love what information she has provided on the IB sector as it pertains to a Black woman as well. But she definitely shedded a light on, you know, just a whole different vision of what it is. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'd say this much about the discussion. Every company is going to be different. Everyone's situation is going to be different. And it's not a one size fits all. Me, I do prefer being in person with people. That's just me. I do like being engaged. It's like doing a Zoom or Teams call. I prefer being on camera, but also I appreciate and respect people who don't want to be on camera. So it's an interesting thing, but to each their own. If that's your space, if you feel like you would rather work from home remote, then find a full-time remote job. That's the easy way to solve that problem for you. As far as Jasmine, I appreciate the information. Fascinating to hear her experience hasn't been what some others have, but everyone's experience is going to be different. It's good. It's great to see a Black woman making inroads, and I hope that others are inspired by the journeys like hers. Time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol. Sherry, are you ready?
Yeah, come on.
It's a name that plays. Here we go. Folks, Bermudians, if you don't know this, oh
my God, I'm about to lose my Bermudian card.
If Bermudians don't know this, just hand in your Bermuda card. Take your license back to DCD, send that passport back to the UK. What part of the United States is the closest point to Bermuda?
North Carolina.
The closest, I didn't say state.
You said the closest what?
Part.
Florida?
No, you're somewhat right with North Carolina.
South Carolina, the Carolinas?
No, you got the right state, but I didn't ask state. I said closest. Folks, everybody knew this in school. Like, come on now. What's the closest part to Bermuda?
Charlotte, North Carolina, or
what part of the United States is the closest point to Bermuda?
Nobody's gotten it?
Somebody got it. I just haven't shared it yet.
Well, share it, Jamal. We're running out of time.
Cape Hatteras. No, it's not Charlotte. No, it's not Raleigh. Cape Hatteras it is. No, it's not Charleston. Okay. Cape Hatteras. The land area which is closest to Bermuda is Cape Hatteras, which is located in North Carolina on the U.S. East Coast and 651 miles or 1,048 kilometers due west of Bermuda.
Honestly, Jamal, I've only heard North Carolina. I never heard Cape Hatteras, in all honesty.
I knew Cape Hatteras before I knew North Carolina. That's all we were taught at Prospect Primary, at least. Cape Hatteras is the closest.
You know what?
I'm just saying. I don't know. Where you been to?
Good long shady. Good long shady.
No, tell your primary school. Lady.
What did you drink yesterday?
What did I drink yesterday?
What did
you this is how you're gonna be. This is how. Sherry, what's the daily inspiration?
It is never too late to be what you might have been by George Eliot. I'm glad I shut you down real quick.
I love you, Sherry. Anyway, thanks again to our partners, Medical House One Communications, Lindo's and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Sherry Randall. I'm Jamal Hartman, my friends. Make it a safe and great day. And don't forget, go follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and make sure you subscribe to our website. We're about to be out. Sherry, man,
he's still alcohol free, guys. I don't want to, he's still alcohol free.
Whatever.